So one of my theses right now is that we are going to experience a revolution in healthcare, and this is where some of the business opportunities are in the next 10 years, that is going to make antibiotics look like a Band-Aid. And what I mean by that is, I understand where you're coming from. Like, how are we going to get out of this? And I'm offering healthcare as one of them, because there's three areas of healthcare that I'm really focused on. Number one is the cure for cancer. The people I talk to in the biotech area believe that cancer is going to be cured in the next 5 to 7 years. Now, imagine what this is, and I'm going to do a circle back here in a second, with all this. But so you cure cancer. Okay, that's great. The second area is the next generation of inflammatory drugs. So you can take an ibuprofen, or somebody my age can take a shot of tequila or some bourbon. That works the same way. And then the third thing is Alzheimer's. And so what's happening is that you solve those problems in the next 10 years, guess what? You're going to get people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s living into their 80s and 90s. Now, that sounds like a bad thing, but it's really not, because it provides a lot of business opportunities for younger people out there is really what it ends up doing. So I'm looking for ways, like I said, like in the 80s, the way we got out of the malaise of the 70s was the technology, the next generation, of the start of the technology boom. I'm thinking that the way we get out of this potential malaise that we're having, and again, you got to remember, we're still reopening our economy, getting back to normal, whatever that is. I think it's going to be the revolution in healthcare the next 10, 15 years.
Well, America, that is a capitalist society, and
Yep.
we are the forerunners of innovation. So if anyone's going to figure out a way, it really is the millennials and Gen Z. They're going to figure something out. I don't know if it's healthcare, because honestly, I think healthcare is way too corrupt as an industry with the government, and just as powerful as they are. Like take the vaccines, for example, right? Mm-hmm. The latest batch of COVID vaccines, the Pfizer upped the price. It was originally $30. Actually, I was going to ask you this, or ask someone this, right? Because Pfizer is a publicly traded company, mm-hmm. right? They made $100 billion, that's not an exaggeration, mm-hmm. off the vaccine last year. Now, they have quarterly earnings that they would reach their shareholders and their whoever, their board. How are they going to reach those numbers? It's going to be an inevitable dip, right? You'd think. Well, not really, because with the vaccine, the latest boosters, who they're recommending for, I think, 6 months and up. Now, I don't want to get into the debate of whether that's necessary or not, just the economics of it. They upped the price of the doses from the government from $30 to $130. Mm-hmm. So they're price gouging to inflate their economy, the bubble. Yeah. So I don't know how healthcare is going to be innovative when you can't cut off that corruption. The price gouging for medication, insulin is a big problem. People can't afford insulin. There's stories all over the country of the United States of people rationing insulin, when in Canada, in the UK, or anywhere in Europe, it costs like $30. Here it costs like $1,000. I don't know if it's $1,000, but it's crazy. Right. So how do you fight that corruption?
Yeah, I think, well, just to backtrack a second, that's one of the things that we're doing at our shop. We run a biotech, we look at these small biotech companies, and the reason why is because if you're a big pharma company, you don't want to spend a couple $1 billion developing the next generation of drugs. Right. So these small pharma companies are doing phase 1, phase 2, and all of a sudden, if something looks promising, and boom, they get bought out. So you're absolutely correct.
So I think you hit the nail on the head, though. That's the problem. There's no competition because they're gonna get bought out. Right. And then it's a monopoly.
But to your point, so there was literally about $500 billion made. I mean, again, you go back and rewrite history. This whole COVID thing, and I don't want to get like too, back in history, but, the moon landing, getting a man on the moon sparked, incredible technological innovation, carbon fiber, et cetera, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. I'm always looking for good that comes out of kind of bad situations, like, forcing people to get vaccines, et cetera. The good that came out of it is we're leapfrogging in technology on the medical standpoint. I agree wholeheartedly with you that, these companies, there's no question about it. it's a monopoly. But I do think as the population ages and votes, there's going to be a big pushback coming in healthcare the next couple of years. It's already started, and I think it's going to do nothing but accelerate because, again, there's nothing more visceral or, inflammatory to somebody who's older saying you can't get that drug. And if you're, a politician and you're doing something with a pharma company and people can't get a drug, guess what? You could end up losing, they'll vote you out or they'll change the system. Now, I'm not, Pollyannish and think it's going to change overnight, but I do think
it takes a long time.
I do think the perfect storm is kind of coming, that you have a baby boom generation that's aging. They're experiencing higher drug costs and they're pushing back going, hey man, no mas, no mas. Is it going to happen next week, next month, next year? Probably not. But I do think that's not, one of the top agenda items once we get past like everything else out there.
Well, I hope so, but I'm going to be the ever skeptic and the pessimist here, because what do you buy with $100 billion? Well, you buy the government and you buy the media that covers you.
Right.
Like 70% of news, cable news, advertisements are from big pharma. So that's, it's the corruption in this economy is just, it's too on the nose, it's too out in the open, and it's too blatant.